the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Good evening and welcome to the National News broadcast, bringing to you live from the National News Studios here at the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. We are ready to bring you the top stories here at home and around the world. I'm Charita Vinaprarachi.
And I'm Sharama Mascarenas. First, it's a look at the day's headlines.
Sri Lanka aims to announce a debt restructuring strategy in April. Rupee further appreciates. Levy on imported potatoes increases. Saposa reduces prices on 7 essential food commodities. Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant in Ukraine faces risk due to the ongoing clashes. Sri Lanka-New Zealand Test Series begins.
And it's fine enough, and it's 4 more.
On to those and other stories in detail now, and starting off with the top local story. The Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Dr. Nandalal Weerasinghe, says Sri Lanka aims to announce a debt restructuring strategy in April.
In an interview with the global news agency Reuters, the central bank governor said that the country has stepped up talks with commercial creditors ahead of an International Monetary Fund review of a bailout package in 6 months.
Sri Lanka has secured financial assurances from all its major bilateral creditors, including India and China, and set the stage for the IMF to extend its financial approval for a $2.9 billion 4-year bailout package on March 20th, the multilateral lender said recently. The bailout is the culmination of months of negotiations as Sri Lanka took to emerge from its worst economic crisis in more than 7 decades. Dr. Nandalal Weerasinghe said that the staff-level agreement contains the commitment to debt restructuring and the medium-term debt targets to restore the debt sustainability on a long-term basis. The central bank governor said that the announcement of all the measures to be taken to meet the medium to long-term debt targets in April. Dr. Weerasinghe said the country would expedite negotiations with commercial creditors and announce the debt restructuring strategy in consultation with them before finalizing the debt restructuring terms. He further said that Sri Lanka would need to restore the debt sustainability over a 10-year period as per the agreement with the IMF, and the latter will provide a roadmap to bring down the debt levels over that period. Dr. Weerasinghe also said the amount would be repaid, which is at $6 billion on annual basis until 2029, will be further reduced post-debt restructuring. Dr. Weerasinghe also said that the inflation is likely to come down faster than earlier forecasts, even by the central bank. Rising prices have been a key concern, with the latest print in February showing inflation had eased but remained over 50% as per the Reuters. The central bank governor said his earlier prediction of 4 to 6% inflation in December this year can now be experienced in the early 4th quarter.
Fitch Solutions maintained its forecast for the rupee to weaken further at the end of this year. However, the rating agency was optimistic for the country to secure an IMF board approval by the early 2nd quarter this year. According to Fitch Solutions, Sri Lanka's rupee, which became the world's best performing currency this year amid hopes of an International Monetary Fund bailout, expects to decline further and lose a fifth of its value against the dollar by the end of 2023. The rating agency was confiding that the country will be able to secure an IMF board approval by early 2nd quarter of this year. However, the rating agency expressed the potential for disruptions after the initial board approval, as Sri Lankan authorities may face the challenges to remain on track with the IMF program amid a weakening economy. Fitch maintained its forecast for the rupee to weaken to a record low of 390 per dollar by the end year. Sri Lanka has increased taxes, cut energy subsidies and loosened its grip on the currency to secure the IMF loan. Fitch, in its report, said that Sri Lanka still has significant external debt repayment needs and will need to build up its foreign reserve buffer over the coming months, which would put downside pressure on the exchange rate. The Sri Lanka rupee also expects to be pressured by tightening global monetary conditions, according to Fitch.
Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning says that China is willing to work with relevant countries and international financial institutions to pull Sri Lanka out of the debt quagmire. Addressing a media briefing yesterday, she reiterated that the country's position on helping Sri Lanka ease the debt burden and driving the advancement of its debt restructuring. The Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman said that the Export-Import Bank of China, as the official bilateral creditor, has provided a financial support document to Sri Lanka on March 6th. She said that such moves emphasizes the China's sincerity and action to support Sri Lanka's efforts to achieve debt sustainability. She further reiterated that the Chinese side support relevant financial institutions in actively working out the debt treatment with Sri Lanka. She pointed out that China advocates the fair sharing of responsibilities and both commercial and multilateral creditors should participate in Sri Lanka's debt restructuring. Accordingly, the China Foreign Ministry spokeswoman said that China will work with relevant countries and international financial institutions to jointly play a positive role in helping Sri Lanka navigate the situation, ease its debt burden and realize the sustainable development.
Sri Lanka rupee has further strengthened against the US dollar. The buying rate of the dollar was recorded at 307.36 rupees today. The buying rate of a US dollar was at 313.77 rupees yesterday, and the rupee was further appreciated today with a rate of 307.36 rupees. The selling rate of the US dollar was at 331.5 rupees yesterday. Accordingly, the selling rate was recorded at 325.52 rupees today.
In the past few days, Sri Lankan rupee appreciated unexpectedly due to number of reasons. It was a welcome relief for Sri Lankan economy and its people, especially when you look at the high inflation we have experienced in the recent past. As a result of appreciating rupee, inflationary pressure will go down to a great extent. Similarly, this will be an incentive for migrant workers. Now they know rupee will not go down further, so that they will send their earnings immediately through official channels. Similarly, speculators who have accumulated foreign currencies, including dollars, now they have realized that they are going to lose, so that they will convert their accumulated foreign currencies into Sri Lankan rupees. When we look at our Sri Lankan students studying in foreign universities, this will be a relief for them, their parents especially, when they send money to those studying students, not like in the past. Now they are going to get somewhat relief, not fully. Similarly, electricity bill should go down and water bill should go down, petroleum prices should go down if we are going to follow the cost formulas of those products. Bad impacts are also there. When rupee appreciates, what will happen? Exporters will discourage to some extent. In the past, they have received a lot of benefits out of depreciating rupee. Now rupee is appreciating, so that their benefits will go down marginally, not in a big way. Similarly, when you look at foreigners, those who are coming to Sri Lanka, inbound tourists, when they were converting their currencies into Sri Lankan money in the past, they received a large quantity. Now it will go down, not in a big way. Anyway, when we look at appreciating of rupee, it is good to maintain macroeconomic stability in the country, especially price stability. This is good for everybody in the country. Central Bank of Sri Lanka is expecting to bring down inflation to 1 digit by the end of this year.
Sri Lanka's 6th periodic review under the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights was concluded today. The review was taken up before the Human Rights Committee during its 137th session held in Geneva.
Participated in this review in a spirit of openness and constructive engagement. We did so amidst several socio-economic challenges, and we appreciate the acknowledgement of those challenges by the members of this committee. Since the submission of our 6th periodic report, several important developments have taken in the country with regard to civil and political rights, including in advancing reconciliation, strengthening equality and women's empowerment, ensuring the freedom of assembly and expression, and combating corruption. For example, the 21st Amendment to the Constitution, in addition to strengthening the independence and powers of the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery and corruption, further enables measures to implement the UN Convention Against Corruption, to which Sri Lanka is a part. Most importantly, despite the challenges during the period under review, Sri Lanka's democratic institutions have remained resilient. However, we acknowledge that there are still constraints and issues that need to be addressed, as in all countries, in the process of ensuring the civil and political rights of our people. The government remains committed to addressing these. I wish to reiterate that the government of Sri Lanka remains committed to the promotion and protection of human rights of all Sri Lankans, and we will continue our engagement with this committee and the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights in a spirit of cooperation and constructive dialogue.
The National Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force of Sri Lanka carries out its activities under the 4 pillars of prevention, protection, prosecution and partnership. In 2021, the task force enhanced its investigating efforts by establishing a special unit for investigations, thereby strengthening the identification of victims, including migrant workers, investigating human trafficking cases and instituting court proceedings against the offenders.
In the context of a question raised with regard to the emergency regulations and their conformity with Article 4.1 of the Covenant, I wish to state that the state of emergency in Sri Lanka is promulgated in terms of the Public Security Ordinance. So great care has been taken and has always been taken to ensure that the protection of the rights of the people during periods of states of emergency, in the interest of these taking into account these factors, and these regulations have been imposed in line with the provisions of Article 4 of the Covenant.
Japan extended grant aid for the development projects in several parts of the country today.
The government of Japan provided grants for development projects in Ampara, Batticaloa and Monoragala districts under its Grant Assistance for Grassroots Human Security Project. Accordingly, the grant contracts were signed between Ambassador of Japan in Sri Lanka, Mizukoshi Hideki, and other relevant parties at the ambassador's residence. The relevant funds will be extended for the construction of an irrigation system in Ampara School building in Batticaloa and a public road in Monoragala.
Out of the 3 projects we signed today, the first one is a project for construction of irrigation facilities to improve the livelihoods of farmers in Ampara district. Second project is a construction project of school buildings to improve the primary and secondary education environment in Batticaloa district. And third one is a construction project of public roads in Monoragala district to promote social and economic activities of the local population. I believe all of these projects are extremely important and directly benefiting people living in vulnerable environments. Sri Lanka is currently facing the worst economic crisis since its independence and waiting for the IMF program to be approved while implementing various painful reforms. In order to support Sri Lanka, the government of Japan has provided up to approximately $100 million worth assistance to Sri Lanka since 2022. This includes emergency humanitarian assistance, such as the provision of food and medicines and the necessities for expectant women and youth, as well as support for export expansion, tourism promotion, sustainable medical services, and resettlement of people in conflict-affected areas. In this context, the government of Japan is determined to continue its support for building a sustainable living environment for vulnerable people in the northern and eastern provinces, in cooperation with local authorities and NGOs.
Let me thank the Embassy of Japan for the very valuable grant award which signed today for the betterment of the farmers of the Tampitiya village in Mahawaya DS division in Ampara district of Eastern province in Sri Lanka.
Moving on to more local stories, Sri Lanka welcomed the conclusion of negotiations on a landmark agreement to enhance the international legal regime concerning the conservation of marine biological diversity in the high seas. The agreement, which was concluded on March 4th at the UN headquarters in New York, covers almost two-thirds of the ocean that lies in areas beyond national jurisdiction and provides a framework for establishing marine protected areas, environmental impact assessment and share the marine genetic resources of the high seas. Sri Lanka welcomes the commitment by developed countries under the Marine Biodiversity of Areas Beyond National Jurisdiction agreement to fund capacity building projects which will assist developing countries to undertake conservation measures. In order to benefit from the agreement in a fair and equitable manner, developing countries such as Sri Lanka need capacity building and transfer of technology, knowledge sharing and cooperation to fulfill rights and responsibilities in a meaningful manner. Sri Lanka's participation during the negotiations ensured the conference takes into account these outcomes. Sri Lanka has demonstrated its commitment to ocean governance by fostering regional dialogue on pertinent issues within the region. Sri Lanka is the chair of the Indian Ocean Rim Association Working Group on Maritime Safety and Security till 2027. IORA Vice Chair for 2021 to 2023 and will take over as the IORA Chair this year. Sri Lanka has already committed to declare a minimum 30% of its marine reserves as protected areas at the UNFCCC COP26 in 2021. The agreement is another landmark under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, a process in which Sri Lanka has played an active role. Formal adoption, ratification and implementation of the agreement will protect the ocean from the benefit of present and future generations as a part of the global commons.
Ministry of Finance has taken steps to increase the special commodity levy imposed on a kilogram of imported potatoes by 30 rupees. The relevant tax revision came to effect from midnight yesterday. The special commodity levy on a kilo of imported potatoes, which was 20 rupees, has now been increased up to 50 rupees. The relevant Gazette notification in this regard was issued yesterday and the levy will remain effective for a period of 6 months. The potato farmers in Uva province expressed their pleasure over the tax hike. The market is currently receiving local potato harvest of the March season. Lankas has taken steps to reduce prices of 7 essential food commodities. The new price rates came into effect from today. However, the wholesale prices of the food commodities at the stalls in Colombo, Petta have declined considerably. The traders have pointed out that the retail prices of the commodities have also reduced comparatively. State Trading General Corporation filed a complaint with the Criminal Investigation Department over the false rumours spread prior to the egg imports.
Foreign Minister Ali Sabri says Sri Lanka maintains a consistent policy on the Palestinians' cause and extend an unwavering support to Palestine in multilateral forum. He made these remarks while addressing the Parliament today.
Sri Lanka maintains a consistent policy on the Palestinian cause and extends an unwavering support for Palestinian in the multilateral fora. The President of Sri Lanka on the 24th of November 2022 in his message on the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people reaffirmed Sri Lanka's position and called on the international community and all parties concerned to make renewed efforts to achieve a lasting solution, including through an early implementation of the United Nations General Assembly resolution on a two-state solution based on 1967 borders. I am submitting as an annexure that statement. I myself, when I addressed the general debate of the 77th session of the United Nations General Assembly on the 24th of September 2022 in New York, reiterated Sri Lanka's long-standing position on the Palestinian issue, adding that the Sri Lanka recognized legitimate security concerns of both Palestine and Israel people and urgent resolution on the matter on the basis of UN resolution on the attainment of the two-state solution. At the 51st session of the Human Rights Council under item 7, general debate on the human rights situation in Palestine and the other occupied territories, Sri Lanka made a statement on the 30th of September 2022, a copy of which is I am annexing with this reply, highlighted that the reputation of the cycle of violence in the occupied Palestinian territory can only be ended with a genuine political effort for a negotiated solution to end the conflict. Sri Lanka reiterated its commitment to supporting a negotiated settlement in line with the internationally agreed parameters of two states living side by side on the basis of the 1967 borders, which is the key to achieve long-term security, peace and prosperity. We can call all sides to refrain from rhetoric and provocative acts. Sri Lanka believes that effort should be redoubled to make a peace a reality in the lives of the Palestinians and also for the betterment of the peace-loving Israeli people, not the extremists. Until everyone is safe, no one will be safe. Therefore, disproportionate use of power and suppression of legitimate rights of any people or a community would only escalate further tension and create a situation where security of both Palestinian and the Israelis are threatened and with the possibility of escalating to the other regions. Therefore, Sri Lanka urges all parties to act with restraint and respect human rights and act in a manner which advances the humanity. The international community also has a huge responsibility in promoting UN resolution without double standard and act towards attaining long-lasting peace to the region on the basis of the resolutions mentioned above, that is, two-state solution based on 1967 borders. Honorable Taraka Balasuriya, the State Minister of Foreign Affairs, assured Sri Lanka's unwavering support for the Palestinian cause to His Excellency Mahmoud Abbas, the President of the Palestinian National Authority, during the 5th United Nations Conference on the Least Developed Countries held in Doha on the 6th of 2023. May I now just read out the President Wickremesinghe's message on the 24th of November 2022 on the International Day of the Solidarity with the Palestinian people. On this auspicious occasion to commemorate the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people, I reaffirm the Sri Lanka's steadfast solidarity with the government and people of Palestine. For more than 7 decades, there had been a long struggle to find a just and peaceful solution to the situation in Palestine. Sri Lanka, while continuing to support the sovereign independent state of Palestine, calls on the international community and all parties concerned to make renewed efforts to achieve a lasting solution, including through the early implementation of the United Nations General Assembly resolution on a two-state solution based on the 1967 borders. On behalf of the government and the people of Sri Lanka, I take this opportunity on this felicitous instance to extend sincere best wishes to the government and people of Palestine. In view of that, yes, we condemn senseless act of violence and disproportionate use of force. We will stand by the people of Palestine and we will continue to stay and stand with the Palestinian cause until peaceful, durable solution is achieved and the Palestinian rights have been attained.
Protests, demonstrations and strikes were held today based on various demands. Accordingly, a protest was organized in front of the Fort Railway Station today against the electricity tariff hikes. The protest was organized jointly by the trade union and other organizations. All academic and examination activities in state universities have been suspended from today against the revised tax methodology. University academic staff have refrained from engaging in paper marking activities pertaining to GCE advanced level examinations. The Court of Appeal ordered today to take up the petition filed to issue a writ order requesting to invalidate the parliamentary membership of the State Minister Diana Gamage for the hearing on April 3rd and 4th.
The petition was taken up before a panel of Court of Appeal judges consisting of the Chairman of the Court of Appeal, Nishank Bandula Karunaratne, and A. Marikar. Preliminary objections were raised before the courts by the attorneys of the State Ministry requesting to dismiss the case with the inability to continue the petition filed by social activist Oshla Hera. The Court of Appeal ordered the parties to submit written submissions over the preliminary objections before the March 27th. The petition has pointed out that the State Minister Diana Gamage is a British citizen and her seat in the Parliament is against the constitutional provisions. Meanwhile, the Court of Appeal announced that the orders pertaining to the request made to name a full panel of judges for the hearing of the writ petitions filed by the two judges' associations claiming that the deduction of the pay tax from the salaries of the judges is against the constitutional law will be declared on March 16th. The Court of Appeal also extended the interim order preventing the imposing of tax pay on the salaries of judges until the March 16th. The official website and the mobile application of the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation was launched today.
It was held with the participation of Minister Bandula Gunawardena. In parallel to the launching ceremony, the Studio 2 of the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation was named after the late Professor Idrivira Sarachandra. Spouse of the late Professor Sarachandra, Lalita Sarachandra, was also present at the occasion. With his first production, Maname, winning many hearts of Sri Lankans, the late Professor Sarachandra is considered as one of the pioneering stage dramatists in the country. With his literary prowess, he rendered an immense service through his work, which were transcended the expectations of the audience of the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The official website of the Broadcasting Corporation is www.slbc.lk. Accordingly, the website and the mobile app were launched at a ceremony held at the corporation today. Mahasangha Chairman and Director General of the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation and the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation were present at the ceremony.
Meanwhile, the Development Lotteries Board awarded the prize monies to the winners of the Sabarakamuwa province recently.
It was held with the participation of State Minister Ranjit Semalapitiya. The ceremony was held at the Kekol District Secretariat. 16 winners who won 100,000 rupees, 1 million rupee and 2 million rupee prizes received their relevant checks at the ceremony. The relevant cash prizes for the sales network, cash prizes for sales stalls and insurance for the sales representatives were also awarded in line with the ceremony. Chairman of the Development Lotteries Board, Ajit Naragala, was present at the occasion. We're into a foreign break. Stay with us. We'll be back soon.
Prima Kotumi, Fantamai.
Welcome back to international news. And Ukrainian officials say that Russia has carried out a series of missile strikes across Ukraine, hitting residential buildings and infrastructure in Kharkiv and Odessa.
The Ukrainian regional head said the attacks have caused power blackouts in several areas. A mass missile attack struck an energy facility in the port city of Odessa, triggering power cuts, its governor said. He also added that the residential areas were also hit, but no casualties were reported. The head of the Kharkiv's regional administration said about 15 strikes had hit the city and region, with critical infrastructure facilities and a residential building targeted. Most strikes were reported in the eastern city and other regions. Meanwhile, Ukraine's military has said it managed to push back intense Russian attacks on the city of Bakhmut, despite a Russian claim of control over its eastern half.
Prima Kotumi, Fantamai.
Welcome back with your sports update. And the first match of the New Zealand and Sri Lanka Test cricket encounter commenced at Christchurch today, and New Zealand, winning the toss, invited Sri Lanka to bat first.
Batting first, Sri Lanka managed a stable start for the innings. Captain Dimuth Karunaratne scored 50 runs while Kusal Mendis scored 87 runs. Angelo Matthews crossed 7,000 runs mark in his Test career, securing the third position in the all-time run scores in Tests for Sri Lanka. Angelo Matthews scored 47 runs at the close of play. Sri Lanka was at 305 runs for the loss of 6 wickets. Tomorrow is the second day of the match.
The school cricketing encounter between St Benedict's College, Kottayam and St Wesley College, Baralla will take place on the 17th and 18th of this month. They will be played at the Pizarra Oval Stadium in Colombo, and the official media sponsor will be ChannelEye, and all the match will be live telecasted over ChannelEye.
Captain of St Benedict's College, Chamat Chaturya, while Wesley College will be led by Linal Subasinghe. The media briefing over the big match was held yesterday, and the limited over encounter between the colleges will be held at the SSC grounds in Colombo 25th of this month. The match will telecast live over ChannelEye.
That we conclude tonight news register over at the very same time.